Are we live? Hi, I'm guessing we're live. Not sure. Okay. Oh, okay. That's awesome. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Baltimore Comic-Con, the best we can do in 2020, which I think everybody's doing a fabulous job. My name is Christy Blanch, and I am here at All You Got Comics in Muncie, Indiana. And I have the absolute pleasure of talking to two gentlemen that I have nothing but respect for. And as a fan, I love their work. As a retailer, I love their work. So I would like to introduce Ryan Stegman and Donny Cates.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey guys.
Hi guys.
Hey Christy.
Nice sweater.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I thought I'd be festive for this. It's finally getting into like nice fall outside. It's like 55, so I thought, hey,
There you go.
I'd like one of those sweaters, Donny.
I'm sorry, what, Ryan?
I would like one of those sweaters. Donny usually sends me stuff like that.
I do. Yeah. I owe you shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to know. Yeah, our temperature went from 80 yesterday to like 40 just in the span of one day.
Awesome.
Yeah. Awesome. Welcome to Indiana. If you don't like the weather, wait 15 minutes. Well, I'm so stoked that I get to talk to you guys. I have tons of questions.
Let's do
it. As a reader, I'm excited for King in Black. As a retailer, I'm super excited for King in Black because I'll be able to afford one of those sweaters. I just wanted to start a little bit more at the beginning. We'll get to King in Black, but
Sure.
Donny, do you realize that you signed your first Marvel work at my store? I
do. Absolutely, I do. You and I go back a very long time.
We do. We from way back, and when I knew you were going to be a star, way back then, but dang, dude. Then you got to hook up with Ryan, who,
I carried him, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, really, honestly. The guy's been doing most of the hard work. He just makes me look good.
All right. I have, you were, Donny, you were an intern at Marvel.
I was, yeah.
So I would like to know how it feels from being an intern and getting to work, see all your heroes, to you being the hero.
Oh,
how does that feel?
It's honestly, it's such an honor. It really is. And I remember, I remember distinctly when this whole thing started. In 2017, I got my first exclusive offer to be exclusive writer for Marvel, and when it happened, I was at home, and Axel Alonso, our then editor-in-chief, called me and made me the offer. And I hadn't had a single book at Marvel published at that point. Axel just really believed in like the scripts I was turning in for Thanos and for Doctor Strange. And also, I didn't know this until later, Axel was putting in a place because he knew that relatively soon Jason Aaron was going to be wrapping up his run on Thor, and Axel wanted me there because Axel, I guess, saw the future and was like, I think this kid could be on Thor, But what's crazy and very surreal about it is that when Axel called me, he was in a little diner and he was ordering coffee. And as he was talking, I could hear him like ordering and stuff. And it dawned on me, there's only one place he could be. And it was the diner that's on the bottom floor of the old Marvel offices. And I was like, that's where I used to go to get everybody coffee. Like he's standing, getting himself a cup of coffee where I used to go and get trays of coffee for everybody. And this guy is asking me to be an exclusive writer. It's so bizarre. And Ryan knows this. Every single time that we go to a retreat, back when we were able to travel, I always make a point of going and sitting in intern row and kind of spending some time and talking to all the interns and stuff. That's really important for me. And you know what's funny? I always, when I was an intern, I always said to myself, man, you know what? If you actually get the chance to work here and be a writer, I'm going to make sure that my interns are credited and that I'm really kind to those guys and girls, and because they do so much work. And then I became a Marvel writer, and I was like, nah, screw all that. I don't have time for that. Well, because they get, you know why? Because they get paid now. Like, oh yeah, Marvel interns are like living the life now. I was poor, and I worked at a Halloween spirit shop at night, and then like went to work in the morning. So I got no sympathy for these cats rolling around in their fat Marvel cash.
Oh yeah. Fat Marvel cash. So Ryan, you worked on The Magician's Apprentice, and then you just kind of started doing some Marvel work, and then boom, you're like, and everybody's, this guy blows my mind with his art. How did that step occur?
Well, it took a long time. Honestly, like I've been doing stuff for Marvel for like, it might be 15 years now. I can't remember, but basically I did the Magician Apprentice stuff, which is like this novel adaptation that really was made to be sold to libraries essentially. So it wasn't really in stores that much even. But then I remember I was working with Mark Paniccia, who's still an editor at Marvel, and Jordan White, who he and I started at about the same time. And they both seemed to see something in me. Like I wasn't very good, but I was very hungry and very inquisitive, and I was always asking questions. And so Mark kind of kept me afloat while he was the only one that was interested in working with me, really. So he gave me, at one point, Magician Apprentice ended, and we were going to finish it in a separate series called Rift War. And in that time, I had no work. And he started giving me Marvel Adventure stuff. And, you know, it was Marvel Adventure Spider-Man. I did 2 issues of that. And then I went back and did Rift War. And then after that, they offered me Incredible Hercules, which was my first foray into the actual Marvel universe. I did about 3 issues of that. And it was pretty quick after that I got an exclusive contract. But I do remember him saying, when I started working on that, he said, hey, you're creating quite the buzz up here, you know? And I was like, hey, that's got to be good, you know? Which I also remember Tom Brevoort came up to me at a convention about that time, and he said, and he's got a very like dry wit about him. And he walked up and he said, you're creating quite a bit of buzz up at the office. A lot of people are talking about you. And I was like, oh, well, that's good. And he said, oh, no, not all of it's good.
That's the most Brevoort thing I've ever heard.
Right. And I was like, what? You know, like now I get him. So I get that it was a joke.
Brevoort's compliment sandwiches are open-faced sandwiches.
Yeah. And yeah, I told him that story one time and he died laughing because he thought it was hilarious. So, I mean, it was funny, but it was terrifying at that time. It was the same convention that they came up to me, and I found out, I remember they came up to me and they said, you know, we want to, because I'd asked for a raise and they kind of weren't saying much. So I was like, well, I guess that's it for the raise. And they said, we hear that you wanted a raise. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, how would you feel about, you know, this much more? And, you know, we sign you up and you work with us for a couple years. And I was like, okay. And then I'm really close friends with Scotty Young, and I went and told him what they had said. And he was like, they offered you an exclusive contract? And I was like, well, no, they just said I would like work for them for a couple of years with a contract. He's like, yeah, dummy, that's an exclusive. And I was like, I guess it is. Oh my God. So yeah, that's from great. There, I've been with them ever since.
Again, as a retailer, when you started with Superior Spider-Man, and everybody was like, oh, this is going to be terrible. I mean, in the shop, they're like, Doc Ock can't be this, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So I was like, try the first 3. If you don't like it, I'll give you your money back. It's going to be awesome. I mean, look at the talent, right?
Right.
By the end of the series, they were like, they can't end this. This is the greatest series. I've been on it from the beginning. I believed in it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So did you get any of that like pushback?
It was funny because Dan Slott had told me everything that was going to happen. Like he told me, we went out to dinner at C2E2 one year. We went to Illuminati's. I remember we were having pizza and whatever. And he told me the whole story. So in my mind, I just know everything that's happening. And I don't think at any point about how people are going to react to this particular part. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, this is exciting. This is a great story. I can't wait for people to see this. And then issue 700 hits and Spider-Man dies. And I'm looking at Twitter that day,
wait, he what?
Spoilers.
Yeah, I'm a little bit behind in my reading. What?
Yeah, sorry, too soon. But so people are going crazy on him and they're like yelling at him and saying how this is the worst thing that's ever happened.
Wait,
and I was like,
Twitter?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not the Twitter I know.
And then I'm like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? And but then I remember issue 1 of Superior came out. And of course, as you know, like we've got where the story goes, the response was immediately positive. So I always felt like and especially at conventions, I noticed this, that people before it came out were like, I can't believe you guys are doing this. They were all upset about it. And then after that, they would say, I was so upset about this, but I read it and I love it. And then some people would be like, I hate that series. I can't believe you guys did this. And I'd be like, well, have you read it? And they'd say no.
Yeah. So
it was like, if they read it, they loved it. If they didn't, they hated it.
It was great. I dug it so much.
So
I was really sad when it ended because I was like, I want him back. Can we have him back?
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. I loved it. Dan's amazing.
Oh yeah. So Donny, you just kind of like, we'll talk about crossover in a minute because I know this is a Marvel panel, but dude, so excited for that. It's so excited. Everybody's so excited for it. So you've done the Silver Surfer Black, you've done Guardians of the Galaxy, you've got Absolute Carnage, you've got Thor, you did Doctor Strange, which was so awesome. I'm a huge Doctor Strange fan. I've got the tattoo. Speaking of tattoos, is that your tattoo right there?
Oh yeah,
that's Ryan's art. My Venom tattoo is just this logo. It's
okay. So it's this one.
Yeah, it's that one. Yeah, exactly.
I was trying to figure out. I'd heard a rumor that one of these was based on your tattoo, and I was like, I don't know which one it was.
We're doing a whole new series of those that are going to be variant covers for the King in Black series.
Oh, nice.
They're actually all designed by my tattoo artist and friend Ian Betterman, who was the artist of a tomahawk that I did at Image. And they're so cool looking. They're really, really great.
They're huge hits. I'll tell you that much.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome.
I'm so jealous of artists because it's like how you see the world must just be spectacular. So I had some questions about this whole King of Black thing. So I got into a discussion with someone and they said that the first appearance of Null is in Thor God of Thunder 6. And I said it is not.
It is not.
Null was not created.
Right.
Series. Null was created by Donny and Ryan, and they were like, "No, it's not." And I'm like, okay, "I'm a girl. I don't know anything. Just been doing this for years."
I tried so hard to stay out of those conversations because I only end up ever making things worse. Yeah. There's some sort of confusion over what Dylan's first appearance is as well. Not going to wade into that either. But, I mean, yeah, of course, when that issue of Thor came out, Jason didn't, and he didn't know that was Null. Like, none of us even knew what Null was. I was when that issue of Thor came out, I think I was barely out of being an intern. I wasn't even at Marvel yet. I was a huge fan of that series, of course, right?
Yeah.
And when I started, kind of building out the Bible for what would eventually become Ryan and I's run, I looked back on Gore's origin story, and boy, to me, all black, the sword and everything that he can create with that sure looked like some cool symbiote stuff to me. And so was just a matter of me calling Jason Aaron and being like, "Hey, would you mind if I played with this? Like, do you have anything in mind for, you know, like where that sword came from, or like who that like black clad god is?"
Mhm.
And he said, "No, man, let's go for it." And then, you know, Jason was able to like play off of that a little bit and War of the Realms. We've gone back and forth, but no, I mean, I again, I don't want to rile any feathers up too much, but yeah, like it's the first appearance of Null is in Venom. What is it, dude? 3, 4 at the end of 3,
I think. Yeah.
Three. Yeah, and his origins in 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's this man's opinion. But what would I know, right?
I would like to get out from those conversations too, but when you're stuck behind the counter, it's like, okay, I need to go.
I can only imagine.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, Christy, you know that I know because I've been there.
Oh, I know.
I was a retailer.
I know.
The amount of nerd-splaining that one gets as a retailer is great.
Yeah.
Question mark?
No, it's I especially love it when they'll come in and they'll be explaining to somebody else's story, and I'm like, that's totally wrong. But
yeah,
you
well,
just you do you.
It must be infuriating for you because I've known you for probably a decade now.
Yeah.
And if people are arguing with you about that stuff, it must just kill you. You could be like, I know him. I can just text him right now and ask this question, you know?
Yeah, it's okay, you know, I'm used to it. My favorite though was when a guy found out that I own the shop and he went, "You are you sure?" And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I'm done."
Yeah.
So one of the things, so this has been a huge lead into this event. I mean, it's how you connected everything is amazing, and it's, I mean, as a writer also, it's really I admire it so much because everything ties in so well.
Well, thank you.
And sometimes we see reader fatigue on events, you know,
Sure,
because there's so much stuff going in.
Yeah.
And I've seen it a lot with even like, you know, the Joker stuff recently.
Mhm.
I don't see that with this. Why do you think that this is just different in that way?
You know, that's something that Ryan and I have talked about a lot, and we're really like, I think I can speak for Ryan. We're really honored to have like some of the best fans in the world, and you know, when I've said this in other places and stuff, but like Ryan and I got on the phone 4 or 5 years ago, and I walked him through when I was kind of courting him to come over onto the book. I walked him through the entire thing, like all the way up until the absolute end of our run. And so it was every arc that I had planned out, including Absolute Carnage and the King in Black, and then what comes after and everything. And it was a hugely ambitious pitch. You know, I remember distinctly walking into a Marvel retreat and pitching that entire story, and they were like, I remember, I think CB stopped me at a certain point and was just like, wait, this thing that you're talking about right now, when is that going to come out? And I was like, 2021. And it was like 2017. And he was like, wow, you're real confident this whole thing's going to work, huh? And I was like, until it doesn't, you know? And so the gamble that is so cool that it's paid off is that, yeah, I mean, we've been seeding Null's arrival on Earth and Null's involvement with this since issue 1 of our run, almost 3 years ago. And yeah, it's crazy that people have hung in there and not gotten bored with this silly story that we're telling, and we're so thankful. I think that what we're the most excited about is that we've kind of done our events in such a way that they grow larger in scale and scope each time, and we've learned a lot from Absolute Carnage, where Absolute Carnage was very much a Spider-Man like world-centric kind of event, and kind of took place like over in a certain part of New York, like down, I don't know where Eddie's warehouse was. But then that book did really, really well. Fans really enjoyed that. And so we were able to earn not just the fans' trust, but also Marvel's trust to go into something like King in Black and have the confidence for Ryan and I to walk into that room and say, okay, if Absolute Carnage was a 6, this is going to be an 11. And we're going to need all the toys, and we're going to break a lot of them. And we need to go as big and as hard as humanly possible. And, you know, I've said it a million times. We have the best editors. We really do. I mean, the Spider office, from Nick Lowe to Devin to Danny, they're so supportive, and they have got our back every single step of the way, you know, and CB's been great. So I think maybe to answer your question, the enthusiasm walking into King in Black is has been built for so long, right? And also, I think it has a lot to do with Ryan and I's friendship and how we interact with the fans online and talk, you know. And because I think that it's an innate quality that fans can always tell when a team is having fun. And you know, I think that anyone can tell Ryan and I have a blast and that we're best friends, just like making fun comics, you know.
Well, yeah, I think that one of the reasons that people don't get fatigued is just because Donny's payoffs always pay off. Like, there's no beating around the bush. There's no tricks. Like, it's always all there. He reminds me a lot of Mark Miller. I just talked to Mark Miller on the previous thing for a minute.
That was cool.
Yeah. But like we said, we bring up Civil War all the time in the room because that was the event that everything paid off, you know? Right. And that's what Donny does really well, is every time that I'm reading these scripts, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I get to draw that, you know? And the same with King in Black 1, I showed a friend the art from it, and he was just like, it looks like you guys just drop everybody into the middle of everything and it's just all happening, and that's amazing. Yeah. And I was like, it is. Like, that is the whole thing, is all payoffs. It's awesome.
It really is such a culmination of not just Ryan and I's Venom run, but seeds that I've been planting in, oh God, I mean, honestly, Doctor Strange, there's payoffs that come from that. Silver Surfer Black immensely ties in. My Thor run, my Guardians of the Galaxy run. There's little pieces that the King in Black is me turning all my cards over and being like, this is why this is, and there's going to be a lot of moments of people being like, oh crap, that's why that was there. That's why, and my cat's here. That's why that's there. Like, that's why that book did this little piece that maybe I didn't understand at the time, you know? So it's been so odd because, like I said, Ryan and I have been talking about this book for like 5 years, and now I'm turning in those script pages to him that we've always imagined, and Ryan is turning in the art for things that I've always seen in my mind. You know what I'm saying? It's really I'm sorry, my cat's being a maniac.
To me.
So it's a, I think honestly what people are going to see when they read King in Black, and I hope that it comes soon, I think that it will, the absolute unbridled joy that we are having making it for all of you guys.
I love it that, so Venom 1, you had lightning in the background on the cover. That was, looking back now, before I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, sometimes it's just cool to, nice background. Yeah. Now it's like, you gave us a huge clue.
Yeah.
So Ryan, kudos on that. I mean, it was a huge clue. Also, going back to Absolute Carnage a little bit, the use of color.
Oh my God.
Is incredible storytelling.
Yes.
Yeah.
When Peter Parker shows up, it becomes bright. You know, everything's always like dark and rainy, but he shows up and it's like, it's bright. And that's the great thing about comics, is that makes you, you know, you can feel that. And so, I mean, how do you feel when you get the pages back after, you know, you have great inker, you know, everybody in this team is just spectacular.
Yeah.
But how do you feel, Ryan? This
is one of the few times that I feel like, I mean, I just don't even really give notes. I didn't give Frank the note that now it gets brighter, you know,
neither of us talked to him about that, but
I feel like we knew that, but we didn't say it.
Yeah. We've always tried to separate the Venom look visually from, like, you know, Superman comics, Metropolis is daytime, Gotham's always night. So we wanted to have that same thing where Venom is always dark and rainy compared to the very, you know, Ryan Ottley and Gleason, very bright Spider-Man book, you know. But then, yeah, in Absolute Carnage, you turn that page and the sun is coming up,
right,
you know, as it peeks through. And we saw that when, I mean, Frank is such an invaluable part of this team and is such a phenomenal storyteller in his own style, you know.
That's not, you don't always get that. I mean, I think there are great colorists that I don't know if they even read the script sometimes, you know. You're like,
Frank insists on it, like we'll chime in and be like, hey, I need to get this script. And like, you know, if you're maybe just now getting into our Venom run and are doing a reread, look back from the start of our entire run. Every single time that Noel starts to influence or starts to talk to Eddie, those panels are always blown up in bright red.
Yep.
Yes.
That was, we didn't tell Frank to do this at all, but that was foreshadowing for Absolute Carnage.
Which is interesting how it feeds into my brain, because now when I'm drawing something, I see what he's going to do, but it was his idea to begin with, and now I can kind of like integrate it into how I'm drawing.
Right.
It's such good storytelling. Your team is, again, incredible.
Thank you.
Ryan, how cool is it you get to draw dragons?
Well, that was one of the selling points at the very beginning. That call that he talked about was, there was like Donny called me and told me everything that was going to happen, and he was like, "There's this sword and there's dragons," and I was just like, "Okay, well, I'm doing this job." Like at this point, I went in thinking, I don't know if I'm going to take that job. I've got other plans, you know. I will fight anybody that won't let me do this job. Like, I am doing this. This is mine now.
Yeah, except for Ryan is probably changing his tune now that he has to draw a billion dragons. I don't know, fun, but the billion is maybe not.
I'm an expert at it now, at least.
Yes, you are. Yeah, absolutely.
I do have a question, Grendel. So, is Grendel's name Grendel, or are all of them Grendels?
Well, yes and no, right? Because when the first one made landfall on Earth, that is where the legend of Beowulf and everything comes from. So we always refer to that specific one as Grendel. But I guess to extrapolate that, I guess they all are that. You know, they're all
kind of like Kleenex. You know, there's Kleenex brand, which is everything Kleenex. Okay. We have a question from Devin Perfect. When writing such a massive arc, is there fear or anxiety to ending it when it's been such a large part of your lives?
No.
No, because honestly, you know, there's something that I've gotten a lot better about. Like when I first started at Marvel, absolutely. Like, you know, you're coming into these characters that have been around longer than you've been alive and will go on well after you're gone. And so there's some responsibility, because you're going to be hopefully kind of leaving your mark in this infinite ocean that will, you know, go on after you. And so you want to make sure that you don't break these things or take them off of their path and everything. And so, going into it very nervous, but at this point, with Venom in like some of the big events that I've done, you know, I heard a comedian the other day talking about not being nervous about doing Saturday Night Live. And the other guy in this podcast was just like, how do you not get nervous doing Saturday Night Live? And he goes, man, there's people out there that hate like The Godfather. Like, like someone's gonna hate it, and it's gonna be not someone's favorite thing. All you can do is be confident and make something that you like. You know, I can confidently say that I love King in Black. I think it's one of the coolest things that I've ever been a part of. I think it's some of Ryan's best work of his entire career. JP Mayer, our anchor as well, is just going ballistic. We're all having so much fun, and we all have known about this event for so many years. And so now we're here, and we're all just bringing our A game. And I think Ryan said a little while ago that we finally got the first full PDF of the first issue, and just reading over it. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be people who's not their favorite thing or don't like it. I can only hope that more people like it than don't, you know. But I rest easy at night knowing that I'm incredibly proud of it, and I think the entire Marvel team is as well.
I would say too that the anxiety of finishing something, I just feel like it's an accomplishment. Like, I'm excited for the end. Also, because Donny and I have our whole lives planned out at this point. As a team, like we know what's happening, so
yeah,
it's not like.
If I can just be sappy for a second, you know, Ryan and I knew each other. We ran in the similar circles, but we never really like hung out together or really got to know each other. And one of the greatest parts of doing this book is that Ryan is legitimately my best friend now, and I talk to him every day, not just about book stuff, just about life stuff. I'm friends with his wife and his two boys, and it's probably the best thing that's come out of the series is like the friendships,
right?
And I think that level of trust that Ryan and I have together shows on the page and shows.
Oh, it absolutely does.
Yeah, and we've been able to do things that are so fun. Like, it's so incredibly rare in comics that you are lucky enough to have a partner like I have in Ryan, who I trust implicitly, that I can I'll be completely honest. There's scripts that I've written for Ryan where you know what, a great example of it is in Absolute Carnage, the diner scene. Where Spider-Man and Eddie are, which is my favorite part of that entire issue. But I wrote the entire issue, or wrote the entire scene, and then I sent it to Ryan, and I was like, I don't know how to make this visually arresting. What do you want to do here? Like, just go. And Ryan added completely on his own, added the guys coming in to rob the store, and like all that kind of stuff. That's a level of trust that we've built over for so long now that I think is, I don't know, it's a blast. I'm so lucky that I get paid to make crazy comics about Spider-Man and Venom, his best friend. You know, it's wild.
For you guys watching, we will take some questions. So I don't know how that works, but they show up. So we'll take those. But in the meantime, I want to talk a little, well, first of all, for both of you, other people are now writing the characters you created.
Oh, it's so weird.
And
so weird.
You have an Al Ewing, who his Immortal Hulk series is just, yeah. That is exactly how I feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's writing part of your story, and that's got to be like a really good feeling for you guys.
Well, let me tell you, the Al thing, of course, is amazing. Al wrote in was it his Immortal Hulk tie-in to Absolute Carnage? I believe it was, and I think he had a character called Null Space Satan, and I was like, damn it, that's so good. Why didn't I think of Space Satan? Also, dope band name, Space Satan.
Yeah.
But I gotta tell you, as cool as it is to have guys like Al and guys like Jerry and Nick Spencer and all these guys that I kind of grew up reading, chief among them in the holy crap department, Kurt Busiek is writing a tie-in to our silly goo monster book, and it's awesome. I mean, of course it's awesome. It's Kurt, but it's just so odd. I think Ryan and I were talking about this on our podcast last night when they told me that Kurt was going to do this tie-in. My immediate reaction was, why would he lower himself to us? Like, he's so much better than our whole thing. He just latched on to this certain like piece of the King in Black puzzle and is having fun. It is very odd. I remember the first time it became real for me was I had left Doctor Strange, and in Doctor Strange I created a character named Bats, who's a little ghost dog, and I now own a beagle named Bats, who's right over there, and is a very well, I was going to say a good girl, but she's actually pretty bad. She's a pretty bad dog. But I remember going to the comic book store and picking up Mark Waid's first issue of Doctor Strange and opening it, and Bats was there. And it was the first time in my entire career where I was like, holy shit, that thing I wrote counted? Like, that wasn't just some stupid fanfic. Like, that's going to be a thing now? That's insane, And now I know Ryan and I just flip out all the time when like Null shows up in like video games, or Null shows up in like there was a cover the other day where Null is fighting an alien from the Alien series, and I was like, what is happening? This weirdo like gothy edgelord space demon is fighting alien. How do we pull this off? It's great. It really is. It really is such an honor to when other people latch on to the stuff that you do and they think it's cool too, and go and play with it.
Right.
We do have a question from Jozilla. Would either of you guys want to do a New Gods series or event?
I love the New Gods.
Does Marvel own those characters? I really do love the New Gods. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, someday, way in the future, I could absolutely see myself wanting to play in that arena. I don't know if anyone's noticed in my work at Marvel, I tend to really like God things, quite a bit.
All right. Another question is there an actor for Mr. Quack? Is there an actor you always pictured to portray Noel? For some reason, I always imagine Charles Dance.
Oh, Charles Dance would be amazing. Do you know that, Brian?
Yeah, I do. I looked it up when he said that, and of course, that guy's amazing.
That's
Tywin.
Tywin Lannister, right? Yeah. I've always thought him or who's that? Daniel Day-Lewis.
Oh,
that's who.
Yeah. We've said Keanu Reeves before, and I say undead David Bowie.
Oh, well, you know what we can just get? Tilda Swinton.
Yeah, there you go.
If you need David Bowie in a part, you just go ahead and get Tilda Swinton.
She can be anything.
Oh, of course.
Bradley Tan says, hi. I love all your work, and by far my favorite in the comics industry today. I was wondering, what is your working writing process like? How did you practice when you first started?
Well, comics is a very interesting art form in that you kind of have to be prepared to fail in public, because really the only way to do it, it's a lot like stand-up comedy in that regard, in so much as you can't practice in your garage, like a band. You kind of got to go out and do it, and it's a very immediate reactionary kind of an art form. So I took a few writing classes when I was in Savannah, at the Savannah College of Art and Design. But then I was like you said earlier, I was an intern at Marvel, and that taught me so much, really about the editorial side of things and the pace by which those things are put out. As far as learning how to make a comic, there's no wrong or right way to write a comic book script. Really, there's formatting that is kind of universal, but a lot of people do it in different ways. But all my stuff was I just either made like ash cans or little zines and like passed it out, and then I got I think my path is pretty typical of writers, at least. I ended up getting like anthology work at Dark Horse Presents, and then that led to a short little mini series called Buzzkill that was like 4 issues long. And you kind of slowly earn trust. Like, oh, he can do 8 pages. That's great. Okay, he can do 4 issues. but you fail in public. There's absolutely things that I wrote back then that I would do completely different, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I just put it out there. And I know, Ryan, you're kind of similar. I mean, your early work is horrible.
Yeah, no, my advice is, I feel like one of the most important traits that you can have is that you can teach yourself how to do things. I think that school and everything is great for it, but once you get out of school, you're going to have to teach yourself how to do things. So you have to make sure that you're not just relying on things that you're told, or, like it's all a feel thing. And it's just being passionate about it and doing it over and over until you get better at it, because you're inevitably going to suck at the beginning for sure.
And yeah, and that's the thing, is that everyone, like, you are going to write some dog shit.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen. You're going to draw some stuff that's not great, but you just got to get it out of there. I will say the best piece of advice that I ever heard, and I truly believe that this is true, is comic books is an industry that can be hard to get hired in, but it is impossible to be fired from. Anyone can make comics. There's nothing to stop you. There is no person on earth who can stop you from making comic books. And the only people that I have seen who have really worked their ass off and have taken notes and have gotten better every year and have taught and keep on putting things out, the only people that I've ever seen not, quote unquote, make it are the ones that just gave up.
Right.
If you're persistent and you are a nice person and easy to work with, and you get portfolio reviews and hear that, and then come back the next con or whatever, and you've improved on those things. The thing is, comics need people to make comics. It's of all the entertainment art forms and stuff, it's the easiest entry. It's the easiest level of breaking in. Now, there's a big difference between breaking in and breaking out, like getting people to notice you. And I think a lot of people think of my career as being somewhat overnight, around 2017. But Christy, is very, very, very well. I've been doing this for 10 years. And, it took me 6 years to be an overnight success. Of just scraping and coming and sleeping on people's couches. Thank you for letting me crash on your couch. Yeah, it's hard, but it's also so much fun, and like I've always been super lucky that I've always had partners that I work with that are my buddies, and I think that's one of the best pieces of advice that I can give is get a gang, Mm-hmm. It's so inspiring to be around people who are also making comics.
Right.
Like I know, Ryan, you draw all day in like a group with. Yeah.
We get on Skype and talk all day, and, everybody shows each other their art, and we all, pick it apart and help each other improve.
Yeah.
Now, did you do that before all this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So it just is. So that really has an impact.
Well, I would never be able to do this job if I couldn't talk to people while doing it. Like, I'm too extroverted to just sit in an office by myself and, draw all day. I mean, because it's so many hours, it's nearly impossible. So I'm so thankful that technology has given us, because I mean, even like I said, I was doing this 15 years ago, and I even then found ways to talk to people all day while I was working, because it just, gives you so much extra energy and it gets you so excited about stuff.
And I'm the same way. I really need to, my writing process always begins by just talking things out. I have to call Ryan, or
this happened last night.
I did.
Yeah.
Or Megan, my wife, I'll just be like, hey, can I talk at you for a while, where I act out all the parts of like all this shit, which I like to think is such a common thing with writers. I like to think that Stephen King is like in his boxes being like, you got to hear this. So is this cool? Like, it's like it's like a car that comes to life. Is that something? Like,
I think he might have voices in his head that he can talk to, though.
That's true. Yeah.
That's his staff meeting.
Yeah.
So who came up with the language?
Like the lettering for it? That was Clayton, wasn't it?
Well, Do you want to know the trade secret of it? It's a stock Marvel font that they use for all alien languages. It's when you read Hickman's X-Men run, when Krakoa talks, it's the same language.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's a stock kind of like alien thing that has like a built-in cipher. But what's weird is that it looks so much like it looks very appropriate because it looks like symbiote.
Yeah.
You know? I did not know that when they brought it to us for it. I was like, wow, that looks really cool. Like, what a cool design. And then I started reading other books, and I was like, Krakoa started doing it, and I was like, wait, what is happening right now? And I think I emailed Devin, and he's just like, yeah, we just kind of use the same thing.
All right, Princeton : what Thor stories influence you the most? It's been really exciting seeing Beta Ray Bill around more again.
I don't think it would come to anyone's surprise that Walt Simonson's run was a massive influence. How could it not be?
Yeah.
I quite liked JMS's run. I loved Matt Fraction's run. Kieran's work with Loki, like the way that he treated Loki and kind of evolved Loki's redemption arc, being a child and being raised up again. I continually make gags about how Loki has an iPhone because Kieran made such a point of him having, I think it's so funny. And then look, you can't talk about Thor without talking about Jason Aaron. And Jason Aaron and Walt Simonson, that's the bar, that is the absolute top of the heap for me. I get like emotional talking about it, but I have been such a huge Thor fan since I was a little kid, and I was stocking Jason Aaron's Thor run on the shelves as a retailer.
Mm-hmm.
And to think that like
now you have your name on it.
Yeah, and then I got to follow my hero. Like Jason's legitimately like my favorite writer in comics, and the fact that I got to follow my absolute hero and have his support and have him, be so kind and so gracious when I was putting the book together has been amazing. It's one of the things I'm the most proud of.
Okay. So we kind of have a joke in retail with all the Thors and Venoms and all of this. It's the 967th print.
I know. Sorry.
No, it's great because not only, people rebuy them because, new covers, new everything. It's just amazing. Well, I have a question about at the end of Absolute Carnage, the apartment door when they walk in. The door number is 616.
Yes, it is.
So who came up with that?
Right. This guy.
That guy. I can't.
Yeah, it was I'm a genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was just kind of like a little nod to what was going on.
Well, also it was that I quite liked that, again, we're talking about how everyone on the team is a storyteller. And what's great is that everyone on the team knows the plan and is dialed in, and we all have the same goals. And that was a real wonderful moment when that art came in, because Ryan and I had always talked about that moment in Absolute Carnage where he goes to Peter for help was the first time in our entire run that Peter goes to the actual Marvel U, that he goes outside of his own little, corner and enters into the Marvel U. And so him going and knocking on a door that says 616 was a really cool thing that Ryan did.
It was really super cool. If you have questions, send them in. We've got a few more minutes to take those. I know some of them came in quickly and they showed up and disappeared, and here we go. Tevya Smoka, Donny and Ryan question. Who's your favorite hero you love to draw or to write?
Ryan?
Well, I mean, it's become Venom, obviously,
Right.
because we've done this for so long, and I do love Venom. But the one that my stock answer is always Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Before I broke into comics, that was what I would do samples of. Like that was my aim, was Spider-Man from day one. So yeah.
I don't even yeah, I mean, Venom obviously is my whole entire heart, and has been such an incredible journey to be able to put as big of a mark that as Ryan and I have been able to put on the character. That the answer to this question changes depending on what I'm writing. Right now, the answer is, can I cuss on this?
You have already.
Did I?
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know that rule.
Yes, go for it.
Yes, you can. We got it. Yes.
Frog. Frog has been the most fun I've ever had writing a comic book in my entire life. And Nick Klein draws the hell out of that frog. And the dialogue that I'm able to put in that little dude's mouth, Thor issue 12 has one of the coolest, craziest fight scenes, including Throg, that I've ever had the privilege of having my name on. I mean, Nick Klein is such a beast, and he draws so epically, and like everything is so, like, I've always described it art. It looks like it's carved out of stone. It's got such texture to it, and then Thor is always so badass, and Thor is always so just like menacing and ominous, and he does that exact same thing with Throg, and it's unbelievably funny for Throg to like walk out of the shadows like holding his tiny little hammer and stuff. It's so cool. I love it.
So, when you came up with Eddie's son Dylan, another character that you guys created, which is awesome. He's got this really strong sense of justice. But he's influenced by Noel. I mean, what was the process that both of you went through in creating him?
Well, it started, excuse me. Part of the kind of the mission statement that I wanted was that, when you think of a character like Punisher or Wolverine, Punisher started out as a Spider-Man bad guy, right? None of us think of him like that at all. You wouldn't put Punisher in Spider-Man's rogues, right?
No.
Wolverine started out in a Hulk issue. No one thinks of him like that. Sabretooth was an Iron Fist bad guy. And so I really thought, and I still firmly believe that Venom's a character who can stand on his own, that he can get to a place where he's not just Spider-Man's rogue. I mean, that's always going to be there. That's his history, obviously. And I'm not trying to get rid of the past. I just think that he deserves his own spotlight and be able to stand on his own. And so part of doing that was to build his own corner of the world, meaning his own mythology, his own tenor, his own themes, his own bad guys, which we've certainly done a lot of, but also his unique, what am I trying to say, relationships in his life, and part of our job sometimes is we have to put these characters that we love so much in the worst possible situations. And I've always considered Eddie to be someone who is a little bit lost and a little bit damaged as a guy constantly trying to do the right thing, but there's a shadow in him, that not just the symbiote, but it's something inside of him that kind of veers off his path. And so I've always thought of him as someone who's massively codependent and is incredibly scared of being alone. And that's like his big thing, is that he's afraid of being alone. So when you think about all of that, what's the worst possible thing that I can do to him is give him a kid to be responsible for, and to give him something to fight for, and give him an active reason to try and be a better man. We've always seen this with Eddie, where he wants to protect the innocent and he wants to be a better man. And now he directly has the most innocent thing in the world in front of him. And unfortunately, like so many of us, and I think, you know, this is a generally pretty universal feeling, Eddie's terrified that he'll pass these things down to his son. And he already kind of has. Like, he has this thing inside of his son that he is going to fight the fucking universe to get it out of his kid, you know? And that's what King in Black really is about. Like, yes, it's this null thing, and it's this big galactic cosmic, every corner of the Marvel event series. At its core, though, that is what King in Black is about, is Eddie going the distance so that his son doesn't have to have the same darkness inside of him. And that's just a guy that every one of us can relate to, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we have time for one more question. So, Brian, have you gotten a script, a scene from Donny that you just went, what? Donny's already nodding.
I mean, that's how I feel every time that I'm like, it's just like, and then there's this horde of, you know, in Absolute Carnage, it was horde of Carnage.
The doppelgangers.
Yeah, doppelgangers fighting. I would just be like, oh my God, like, it's so easy for you to write this, but now I have to draw it. But, you know, I find ways to trick the reader into thinking I'm drawing more than I am.
Issue 4 of King in Black, I sent to Ryan, and he immediately texted me, and he was like, I love this, but I hate you.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know how I'm going to draw this, but I'm sure it'll work out in the end.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm one would think that having gone to like art school and having learned how to, you know, pencil a page and ink a page and all this stuff, one would think that I would have compassion for my artistic partners. In fact, I have way less. I have absolutely zero compassion for any of you, and that extends to my lovely wife, who we're working on a book together now, and I give her the same crazy page layouts and ideas, and I give it to her, and she's just like, but you love me. What are you doing to me?
I'll show you, Megan. I'll show you, Ryan.
Yeah, I was like, I'm treating you just like my other partners. You know?
All right, well, we have to wrap up. This hour's gone by so quickly. Thank you both for giving us your time, and
yeah, thanks for having us.
Really looking forward to King in Black. It's gonna be great. Very, very much looking forward to it. So keep up the good work, both of you, and thank you so much, and stay safe.
Christy, I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for jumping in and doing this panel. You absolutely crushed it. Ryan, thanks a lot for being here. Donnie, thanks for jumping into the drink and draw last night, by the way. I hope you're feeling okay today.
I couldn't stay away from a microphone and a camera.
It was...
I just want to add one more quick thing. Buy Crossover, available November 4th, wherever fine comic books are sold.
Crossover is going to be huge.
It's not Marvel. What are you doing, man?
It might be someday. You never know.
Awesome.
It's amazing, and it's got all the connections too, and I can't wait for it. So
thank you so much, guys, and thank you guys so much for having me on. And Dr. Blanch, it's so nice to see you again and chat.
So nice to see you. I'm glad I got to see you at C2E2, the last
show ever. Yeah.
We were all there. I saw Ryan 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But anyway, we could talk about this forever, guys. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. Stick around. We got a massive horror panel. We're doing a deep dive into horror comics right after this. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. It's Baltimore Comic-Con.